Hi, my name is Lynne Edwards, and I'm Professor of Media and Communication Studies at Ursinus College. I'm really excited to talk to you today about the 1956 sci-fi classic Invasion of the Body Snatchers, starring Kevin McCarthy and Dana Winter. The film was directed by Don Siegel and was produced by Walter Wanger. It was distributed by Allied Artists Pictures. The plot of this film is really quite straightforward. The residents of a small town in California are not who they appear to be. The film's protagonists, Dr. Miles Bennell and his love interest, Becky Driscoll, spend the entire film trying to find out what happened to their family and friends, only to discover, to their horror and to the audience's, that their friends and family have been taken over by alien pods, leaving behind mere shadows of their former selves. This film resonates with me for so many reasons. First, the use of noir-esque elements in the presence of shadows, especially in the scene in Jack and Teddy's home when they discover a pod in the process of becoming Jack. We don't just see Dr. Bennell examining the pod's body, we also see it playing out in the shadows against the wall. We also see tongue-in-cheek references to film noir in this same scene, with posters saying mirror noir and femme fatale. I think that Don Siegel's sense of humor really kind of comes through in that scene, because for such a terrifying scene, literally watching a big molded piece of clay becoming you, the elements around it literally provide a little bit of levity, I think, for audiences. But it doesn't help us escape the terrifying specter of ourselves, our bodies, being taken over by foreign agents. And I think that's the other thing that draws me to this film. It literally taps into an ongoing fear, especially in Americans, but possibly now in audiences all over, that we can't protect our so-called way of life or our way of being from alien invaders with different attitudes and values than we have. Equally frightening, we can't tell amongst our family and friends who have already been taken over. Who are the pods and who are the people? And I think Don Siegel captures that brilliantly, quietly in this film, in a way that for 1956's audiences really must have been quite frightening. They have survived World War II, the specter of communism, and for some of us, the specter of integration. We've had Brown versus Topeka at this point. Our military has been integrated by this point. We are now embroiled in a Cold War with Russia. Everything in this film harkens to these cultural fears going on around the audience. But this film also offers something to me that we can't see. And it's literally the absence of a motive for these pods. And so while we may place onto these pods these communist ideals, fears of integration, the pods themselves have no reason to be here, which means there's an additional unspoken fear being tapped here, and that is like the randomness of this all. We're not talking about an alien life form that has clearly indicated a desire to destroy us, a malignancy. This could actually just be something random, which is really scary, because that means there's really no way of preventing it from happening again. I think the other absence for me is the absence of high-tech spectacle, which is what we normally associate with sci-fi. We don't see shiny spaceships, we don't see ray guns, we don't even really see the aliens. We just see these things that look very much like giant peas, like things that could have been radiated by an atomic bomb, But other than that, we don't really see the thing that we fear. In fact, the thing that we fear looks exactly like us. But the third absence that really draws me to this film, though, is the behind-the-scenes stuff. Because there's actually an absence of consensus about what this movie is really about. The movie is based on a novel, a 1954 novel by Jack Finney, who claims that he just wanted to tell a really interesting story about people who don't seem to be themselves. He literally wondered what it would be like to think that the people that you think you know aren't really themselves anymore. He claims that there really was no anti-communist agenda to his book. He just really wanted to tell an entertaining story. Don Siegel, however, claims that he wanted to remake Finney's book because he thought it would be an incredibly visual and powerful story. That as an insomniac himself, this fear of going to sleep and maybe not waking up as yourself, or maybe not waking up at all, drew him to this film. He also just really thought it was a fascinating idea to not be able to discern friend from foe. The studios, however, had a whole other plan for this movie, as evidenced by them cutting back on the budget that they allocated to Siegel for it, and by them enforcing a change at the end of the film that brought it away from Siegel's other passion, which is this fear that we as people really don't care what happens to others, really are not concerned about rebelling against authority, and who really just want to go along with the world as we know it. The film ends the way the studio wants it to end, with a very sort of vague allusion to being able to solve the problem with the help of the FBI, rather than the ending that Siegel intended, which was McCarthy's character screaming into the camera, "You're next!" How scary would that ending have been? As I said, not knowing anyone's direct intention for this film really helps to make it something that I keep coming back to and that I keep exploring. What I hope is that when you watch the film, you also see topics and themes that you would love to explore. Please join me August 31st, a Monday, 6:30 p.m., to share what you see in this movie. Thank you.